because I and everyone else here, and probably you know as well, that Ted is that bear from that movie, like this one. Right?
Oh, yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's find out who Ted really is by watching an official TEDx video explaining the purpose of this event and its worldwide impact.
From Kenya to Colombia, from Iraq to Korea, in slums, in schools, in prisons, and in theaters, every day people gather at TEDx events around the world to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. Today,
you are part of the global conversation about our shared future.
Yeah, that's when I first had that one.
So what is this TEDx? TEDx is an initiative of the TED Conference, a non-profit devoted to ideas worth spreading. We grant free licenses to allow TED-like events to spread globally. This event today is based on the TED Conference format and ideals, but is independently organized by your local community. So please make sure to thank the team of volunteers who worked so hard on today's event. It's their ideas, dedication, and time that made it all possible. It's they who booked all the speakers, and the views you'll hear today are, of course, those of those speakers, not necessarily.
Lizzie, you're the one who thought that Ted was a bear.
Yeah, but it was you first.
Okay, we don't really need to talk about that. So we would now like to formally welcome you to today's event. The theme for today's event is breaking boundaries, and so the ideas that the speakers will be attempting to portray sort of will relate to this somehow. We have a lot of exciting things in store today, and yeah.
Unfortunately, we have some housekeeping rules for you all before we begin with our first speaker. So first off, I'd like to urge that you do not use your cell phones during the talks and the performances.
I'm sorry, Lizzie, just like one last selfie for the TEDx Instagram page. That is TEDx Youth at Upanga. Please follow us.
Additionally, you can connect to the Wi-Fi. The password is capital B breaking capital B boundaries hyphen 2019. And the bathrooms, so the girls' bathrooms, if you walk out of here and go to your right, there's the girls' bathrooms, and the boys have to go to your left all the way around this building, and the boys' bathrooms are here. Please do not hesitate to ask the organizers wearing the red shirts or the volunteers wearing the black shirts any questions. If you have any, that's what they're there for. And also, we would like to remind you that this event is being live streamed, so there are cameras. You will see cameras here, cameras here, cameras here. So please be careful. Don't knock any of the cameras over, and just be wary. Try not to stand in front of them. So when you're entering, there's this lane there, which is clear. So if you can make your way through here, that would be great. And there's kind of a walkway there as well. So if you could use those, that would be great. But during breaks, we would like to encourage you guys to participate in some of the activities we have going on outside. There are can games, there's a photo booth, and there's lots of great prizes to win. So please get involved with those. And so lastly, we would like to tell you that the water bottles that were given to you, please do not throw them away, but instead reuse them. There are multiple water dispensers all around the campus, so just keep refilling those throughout the day, because we don't have another bottle to give you. Go green! And there's no bins inside of here, but there are bins outside, so if you have any rubbish, please don't leave it around here, but instead put it in your pocket and then wait to dispose of it outside. And yeah, that's it.
We would now like to kick off our event with a short video from Zara Franceschi. She was an organizer for last year's event. And so, yeah, here's the video.
Year's organizing team for TEDx Youth at Upanga 2018. Just a welcome to today's event. I remember being up on this stage last year delivering the closing speech with Ali Asker. It was the first and the last time I got up on the stage to talk, and it was nerve-wracking being up there and realizing that our team had pulled off this event. So to all of you stepping on this stage today, I congratulate you for being so courageous. And to you all in the audience, I hope you know that you're experiencing a luxury. You're gonna hear wonderfully inspiring TEDx talks today from a variety of speakers. Nevertheless, you may not be able to fully grasp the amount of time and effort that the organizing team has put in to this event and is still putting in today. You can really only know if you've been part of such a team and organized your own TEDx event. That is why, to all of you in the audience today, I hope that you're inspired by the speakers and their ideas, but you're also inspired by this team, by the 15 people who brought all of you together, from the audience to the volunteers and the staff behind the scenes and the people watching the live stream. And I hope that through TEDx Youth at Upanga 2019, you'll be inspired to break boundaries and organize your own TEDx event where the sharing of ideas is possible.
So we would just like to thank Zara Franceschi for her efforts organizing the event last year and really encouraging us to make this one's event really even better.
Okay, so now we are actually going to get started, and we would like to welcome our very first guest speaker for today. His name is Nasser Al-Hilal. He is an 11th grade student at DIA who is avidly involved in sports. He also aims to challenge himself academically. He spends most of his time reading facts and has a lifelong dream to end global warming. But today, his talk is based on the change in thinking within social media and confirmation bias. Please welcome our very first student speaker, Nasser, to the stage. Good luck, Nasser. Inspire us.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. My name is Nasser Al-Hilal. I'm a grade 11 student at Dar es Salaam International Academy, and I come from an IB school, which is all about practicing and promoting open-mindedness in our lives. But 4 months ago, I was confronted with my own bias in my language and literature classroom. We were having a very normal class discussion on how language can be such a powerful tool that we use every day without realizing. And so on forth, the discussion came and fell upon toys. And my class teacher raised a question too. Why is it that toys have been categorized into different genders, labeling that boys should be playing with monster trucks and girls with Barbie dolls? I mean, if you do take the time to think about it, it does make sense, doesn't it? But well, without taking the time to think about the question, I impulsively stood up from my seat and stated that, well, it's because girls are feminine and soft, so probably that's why they play with dolls in the first place. But trust me, I'm ashamed for saying all this, but until that particular moment, I was so sure of what came out of me. Now, the next thing that happened was that all the girls stood up from their seats and literally ambushed me for being so stereotypical, of course. Even though I had not intended to offend anyone, yet I did. So it's honestly got me to thinking that who did say that girls were supposed to play with dolls in the first place? And if they chose to play with Hot Wheel cars, for example, would that make them any less female? But what honestly bothered me the most was that this information was not passed down to me directly, nor was it ever told to me, but yet it still existed. So now I'd like to raise the bigger question to you, that have you ever wondered or tried to question yourself, where do your beliefs and your opinions come from? I mean, we haven't really based ourselves on years of research for the knowledge that we claim to know of, but yet it's still there. Be it in a conversation, a class discussion, a debate, or simply just walking down a supermarket aisle going to pick out a new shampoo for your hair. We're all guilty to one tricky problem known as confirmation bias. This is when we allow ourselves to conform to our beliefs, and we tend to uphold the information that enhances them, but at the same time ignore anything that challenges them. So I'd like to take you through understanding what confirmation bias really is. And according to Britannica, confirmation bias is simply when a person chooses to favor information that only confirms to their existing beliefs, but at the same time ignore any sort of information that would challenge it. I remember in my late primary years, we had a new art teacher who joined school, and he was very talented at his work, where it was displayed all over the school. But I also remember my father once telling me that left-handed people were simply more creative in the field of art compared to right-handed people. And coincidentally, my art teacher was left-handed. This is no fact at all, but simply it hit to my mind as core evidence for the knowledge that was already in my favor. So simply moving on, challenging our biases can be an internal struggle because our brain has been formed to deny any sort of information that we do not believe in. Our brain can put ourselves through hours of research only to look for inaccurate information rather than try to find the undesirable truth. So instead of actually learning from our mistakes, we tend to look for sources which only enable them further. As you can see, if we go to Google and we search in for our biases, Google will deliver us with sources which conform to our biases. So instead of actually learning something new, we're being delivered with sources which only prove to our biases, enhancing them further, and we're not learning anything scientific. Well, we're moving on. So not to be a brag, but I remember that recently my father, he bought a new car. And as we drove around using it in town, stopping for the green light to turn on, a similar car of the same model pulled up next to us. And we awkwardly began to stare at each other until one of us had to wave politely. But well, as soon as the light turns green and we drove away, my mother, she spoke, and she stated that, well, now since we bought this car, watch everyone else in Dar es Salaam buy it too. But well, this was funny for me to hear, because it's not that we bought the car that now everyone else is buying it, but it's because it was never relevant for us to notice it in the first place. So now here I have a demonstration of how our brain tries to function, well, without using any neurological sciences whatsoever. So simply let's say that the car belongs to box A. As you can see box A on the screen over there. Box A has always existed. It's always been there. But as we look into the color, probably it's been left unnoticed. But then my father, he goes in and he buys a product from box A. And now simply it lights up. It's noticeable because it holds a personal connection to us. And this is how we work, that when something holds no connection to us whatsoever, we tend not to associate ourselves with it. But it didn't end there. I also remember my little brother began to speak too. And he stated that he knows a particular boy in his school whose father drops him with the same car. So now moving on from material to personal connections, we're trying to look at the type of people who could possibly associate themselves with this car. So now it's moving beyond to just material. And coming to understand that this is simply how we even make friends, because we identify a person and we try to look in for their interest. And then we compare their interest with our interest. And if they align, we go further beyond to find more similarities. It could be religion, could be culture, could be faith, could be status, could be wealth. But beyond this, we don't realize that we have narrowed down our circle, that we have stopped ourselves from gaining new information because we're not allowing our brain to be challenged. We're not allowing ourselves to meet new people. And are we allowing ourselves to think differently because we're surrounded by the same people who do the same things, talk the same language, or even pray at the same church? So simply, just from the internet and from books, from what we believe in, and from the people who encourage us with the information that we know of, we're simply held in a small circle, not allowing ourselves to move beyond it. Well, how many of us use Facebook or Instagram? A show of hands, please. Well, today when you get home, I'd like you to go through your home feed or your explore section and look through the content that's been delivered to you and analyze it thoroughly. And I would like you to also take the time to look into someone else's device. Well, of course, without invading their privacy. I want you to notice one thing, that your information that will be delivered to you and the person next to you will never be the same. It's because social media platforms have unconsciously listed down your interests. They're allowing yourselves to see information, to see pictures, to see quotes that will only be of interest to you, only appealing to yourself, not allowing yourself to witness anything different, to witness anything new. So still, you remain in your own bubble, even through using your time on social media. But well, confirmation bias exists beyond my personal examples. It's even there in the real world, because today research has proven that doctors are as likely to fall into the trap of confirmation bias. Whenever you go see a doctor and you start explaining to them your symptoms, a doctor will have an initial hunch, and it could be malaria. Well, malaria is just an example, but of course, while you're explaining to the doctor that what you're going through, they will give you treatments, diagnosis, only to prove that you have malaria. But of course, this is a waste of time because they're not allowing you to find alternative factors which could be just as likely what you're going through. And further research has stated that, according to Dr. Croskery, who's an expert at clinical decision-making, has concluded that 1 in 20 people in the United States are likely to fall under the false predictions of doctors. Scary, huh? But well, how can we be open-minded if all that we've managed to achieve in our lives is continuously feeding into our biases, feeding into our existing beliefs? Well, we have to start somewhere. And my advice to you and to everyone else out there is that the next time that we're actually confronted with our biases, or we probably hear someone say something that we don't believe in at all, instead of actually falling down in despair, let's take a step back and actually try to see where this person, or this individual is coming from. Because everything that has surrounded this person has affected their argument, and so has yours. So I'd like to end with a quote which says that what the human being is best at doing is interpreting all new information so that their prior conclusions remain intact. Thank you.
You know, Lizzie, these days there's so many horrible social media pages that advocate hate. The only social media page that I like is TEDx Youth at Upanga, which you have followed, right?
Yes, of course I have, and so should all of you. But now we'll be moving on to our first performer of the day, Tim Mummert, who will blow your mind with his amazing magic tricks.
Lizzie, do you know I have a couple tricks up my sleeve as well? Would you like to see one?
Yeah.
Okay, let me show you. I'm going to clap my hands and the lights are going to turn off.
Yeah.
Watch this.
Now she was done messing around, let's welcome the real magician, Tim Mummert.
So, yeah, as announced, my name is Tim, and since over 2 years, I'm a hobby magician. Hooray. No, let's go on. So for this trick, I'm going to need a participant. And because I might be a little bit too selective, what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw a ball inside of the audience. And the person that get that ball somehow is going to be the chosen one, the participant or the person who sucks. You decide. So the reason why we need the participant is that to make sure I'm not cheating. Because the problem is you see those cards, you usually can't see them from here. That's why we have my friend 10 here, who's going to hold a camera so you can see everything on the screen. But in order to make sure I'm not cheating with camera tricks, we'll get one participant. So I'm just going to throw it inside. So I hope I'm not hitting the cameras. I'll probably just stand like this and we'll see. The person who was touched, please come up the stage. Just come up. Just come up the stage. Thank you for bringing my ball. So, what is your name?
Emmanuel.
Okay, please join me at the table. There's one chair just for you. And I think then we're ready to start.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Mummert. Well, Tim, that was a really magical performance, huh? But do you think you could make Lizzie disappear for me?
Well, we can try.
Wow, I thought I was the only one who could do that. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you very much.
So now that I'm here alone, might as well just introduce the next speaker for today's event, Dr. Zohraida Karim. She's an early childhood specialist who works with children from the ages of 2 to 13. And her aims are to promote effective learning techniques to these children. But today she's here to talk about why we need to change the way we think about education in Tanzania. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Zohraida Karim onto stage. Round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. I was introduced as doctor, so I'd like to specify something here and make it clear. Yes, I am a doctor, but not in the field of medicine. It was always my parents' dream, especially my mom, to see me graduate as a doctor in the field of medicine, but it never was me. I can't even see an animal hurt, so forget chopping someone into pieces. I have a doctorate in the field of education, and where I am today is due to a lot of family support and my passion. And what I'm going to talk about really relates to all the youth in this room today. I'm going to share experiences about myself because when I do that, it's easier for the youth to connect with me as well. I strongly believe, and I know I'm right, no paper result can define a child's destiny. And why I'm saying that to you, I'll share a little secret with you. I'm a graduate with F in math. But here I am today. My daughter's in this room listening as well. So, yes. But I never let that stop me from living my dreams and accomplishing my goals. I strongly believe, and when I talk to educators globally, when I attend conferences, when I go to schools over here, grades should never correlate with a student's intelligence. It is not what defines what a student is. That's but a mere paper. What you are is what you are as a person, not what you produce on paper. Very sadly, a lot of schools here in Tanzania, and a lot of schools globally as well, only assess you through your paper. In today's world, if you want to get a scholarship, you want to get into a good university, how many schools actually call you in person to look at you, for you to sell yourself or sell your ideas or sell your thoughts to them? The first thing they want is, can you share your achievement reports with us? Why? Does A, B, or C express who I am? Does it define who I am? No, it doesn't. I'm very different to what the paper over here shows. I don't remember the last A+ I got myself. What you need to do is strive to gain knowledge. Knowledge that is going to help you make a difference in the world out there. Knowledge that is going to set you apart from the rest of the people. Knowledge that is going to help you think out of the box. No way. It's going to help you think out of no box at all, because you need to stand out. You were born to stand out, not to fit in. What we need to teach our students today, and what you youth need to understand, is you need to focus to retain information. You need to understand the content you're learning and how to make use of it, rather than cramming it to use it for your paper assessments. A lot of you, I know, are probably hands-on learners. You can create things, to present things, you can talk about yourself, but when it comes to the paper, we sometimes go blank. Let me tell you something about myself. I told you my mom wanted to see me as a medical doctor. I graduated with science, right? Of course, my math always was an F. I don't know how I made it through to where I am today. But after I graduated in science, I told my dad once, you know, it's really not me. I don't want to do medicine. He's like, okay, sure. I have very, very supportive parents, and I'm sure all of you do as well. He's like, okay, Zora, what do you want to do? I said, I think I want to do accounts. He's like, are you sure? From science into accounts? I said, yes, Dad. He's like, sure, go give it a try. Those days, there were no counselors. Now, when I say those days, I've been in this field of education for 20 years. And when I say 20 years, people don't believe me. I'm only short. Good packages only come in small sizes. I have a lot of experience. I have a 14-year-old girl, so estimate my age. I'm not sharing that. So I didn't have a counselor. My dad said, okay, go for it. I did accounts for about 2 or 3 months. I go back to him. I'm like, Dad, this isn't me. I'm really bored. I don't understand anything. After all, it's math, right? Okay, so what do you want to do next? Well, you own a travel agency. Maybe I'll do IATA. Are you sure? You're not a person who can sit in front of the screen for hours. No, no, no. I can do it, Dad. I can do it. Fine. I start the course. 2 months down the line, Dad, I can't do this. Very patiently he says, what do you want to experiment with next? I said, makeup artist. He's like, you've graduated with science. You want to do makeup? I said, yes, Dad. He's like, okay, go for it. He's being as patient as he could. 3, 4 months down the line, I'm like, I'm tired of making people look beautiful. They're already so beautiful. This isn't me, Dad. He's like, okay, what are you going for next? Do you want to see a counselor? I'm like, no one knows me better than I know myself. I don't want to see a counselor yet. Okay, so what do you want to do? I said, henna artist? Are you sure? I said, yes. This is the last thing I'm trying to change. I promise you, Dad. Same thing. 3 months down the line, I said, this isn't me. Okay, so what do you want to do with yourself now? Nothing. Zora, nothing? Yes, nothing. Okay. I said, I need to stay home, think, find myself, and realize what I want to do. Well, my friend was my savior. Next day, she comes home. She's like, rather than just staying home, why don't you come and volunteer in school? I'm thinking, oh my God, me and children? No, no, no. Well, there's no harm trying. I was getting bored staying home as it is. So I went to school. This was Al-Muntazir. I started there as a volunteer. Day 1, day 2, day 3. I realized I've really been enjoying it because there was this child inside me who wanted to enjoy life all over again, just the way all of you have a child hidden inside you. I started living the way I wanted to, and I could see the difference I was making in those young lives because I was letting them live their dreams the way they wanted to. I was helping them learn according to their learning style rather than them having to adapt to the teacher's teaching style. And that's when I realized there's a lot about education that the world didn't know. There's 9 multiple intelligences, and each child falls into one category, and we as educators need to pick on that and support their learning style. Well, I enjoyed it. The principal saw me doing well. I started as an assistant, grew up as a class teacher within 5 months. I became head of department for the language within just a year of working. And I worked with them 8 years, and now I've been teaching 20 years. But that was the spark I was looking for because I want to create inventors. I want to create students who can think for themselves. I want to create those kind of people in the society who are not mere followers, but they are the doers, and they make people follow them. So I did a survey before an assessment with a couple of children I work with, and I went into one of the schools as well. It's so sad to see all these symptoms the students go through before an assessment. It's time we change the way we assess our students. Look at the level of anxiety. Look at the tiredness, jitters, tension, overload. All of these they felt just before the assessments. I feel bad to see students go through this because I feel educators are torturing them. Learning needs to be a journey filled with excitement and love. Love for what you're doing. The number of children who are now homeschooling, and when I spoke to a few of them as to why you're homeschooling, I was told, not only is it because the curriculum in schools can really get difficult or tedious, but when we don't secure good scores, we're bullied by our peers and friends. When we don't get good scores, we don't get the schools we want, we might as well homeschool in a safe environment where we're appreciated. So I asked them, do your parents appreciate you? Yes. I said, that's now the change coming in slowly. We need to be appreciated, whether we get an A, B, or C. We're doing our very best, and we need to be appreciated for that. Over the years, the level of anxiety before an assessment has kept on growing. Why? The curriculum gets even more demanding every year. Every year there's something new. Every year the schools are assessing their curriculum, making it more challenging. But as we make it more challenging, because we want children to develop all their skills in a holistic approach, why are we not looking at our assessment modes and making it more
simplified so that the students can express their level of understanding? I may be paper smart, but that doesn't mean everyone in my class is paper smart. So, when I was working on this, being a poet and an author, I wrote this poem.
Please understand the deep meaning behind each line. Can a paper result really define a child? Why do we draw a fine line and make some students emotionally resign? Why can we not just be like the divine and allow students to rise and shine? The world looks at young students with an undermine, never allowing them to fly to cloud 9. We hear the students let out a painful whine, and yet we don't allow them to redefine. If we continue this way in recline, we will see the centuries to come with students in a recline. It's time to wake up, dear educators. A time to define. An era where we put together talents and skills, allowing a unique combine. I want you, being my ambassadors, to go out there as well and try to bring this change where assessments come in. There's no denying it. It's a great feeling when others believe in you. But today I want to encourage all of you in this room to keep believing in yourself no matter what. Always believe in yourself wholeheartedly, no matter what people think of you or say about you. I've been through that phase, but I didn't let it put me down. And every time I fell down, I stood up even stronger. Allow your passion to motivate you every step of your journey. Allow yourself to be stronger. Do it the way you see it. And remember, it's okay to be different. You're unique. You have been born to stand out, not to fit in. And when you realize you can't fit in, it's because you're special. They need to be like you. You don't need to be like them. Please remember, believe in yourself, dream, and reach the sky. Nothing can stop you. Thank you so much.
Dr. Zohraida, I'm pretty sure your daughter Asma appreciates that picture, huh?
So to all those soon-to-be graduates who are about to take their final exams, always remember that they don't define you. Just do your best. Thank you very much, Dr. Karim. Now we would like to take a couple of moments where we would like you guys to talk to the people around you and share some of your thoughts on the ideas shared by our speakers so far. Talking about if there were any interesting highlights or ideas that stood out.
Wait, before you begin, we'd just like to remind you to not use your cell phones and stuff, because the speakers do work really hard to make these presentations, and it's kind of disrespectful. So just make sure, allow you. So start conversing. Interesting ideas.
Yeah, you guys can talk to each other for a couple of minutes about your ideas. Guys, if you could just stay seated, please.